Lots of free agents still available on the market as we head into the summer, with another one possibly set to join them, who happens to play running back for the Vikings. Hint, hint. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright with Justin Tucker, and as I mentioned, we have a great show planned for you tonight. We're going to talk about the top free agents remaining and possible fits for them, and also a strong possibility that Dalvin Cook could become a free agent fairly soon, and he would be released, if not possibly traded. We're not sure. With a big announcement coming up at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. And joining us to cover all of these topics, we have special guest and longtime fan of the show, Ian Mulhearne, for what, the fourth time?
Third time.
Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining.
No problem.
What's that?
I said no problem.
Of course. All right. Well, we're going to jump right into it. And we got a vacuum going in the background. That's what's great about graduating, right? Living with your parents right after for a couple of months. So bear with me with that. I hope it shuts down soon. But all right. So according to ESPN and Vikings beat reporter Kevin Seifert, there's a strong possibility Dalvin Cook is going to be released soon. So immediately, obviously, we're going to just cover all of the best fits for Cook as he possibly departs his longtime team that he has been a part of since 2017, I want to say. He's been in the league for some time now.
2017, he came in the same draft class as Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
And Alvin.
Pretty good draft class, if I might say so myself.
For running backs, yes.
The running backs were awesome.
It was stacked, that draft.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also back when drafting running backs in the first round was not frowned upon, which was not the best thing. I'm glad it's fallen out of favor now, even though it's still happening. It happens, but it's not nearly as often as it used to earlier in the 2010s. I mean, it was getting ridiculous. But there's a strong possibility he also becomes a Dolphin via Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. So already it looks like, according to the league consensus, the front runner here early on is Miami. And with the state of their backfield, it makes sense for him to go there. But I don't know what you guys think. I'll throw it to you, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Miami right now, I mean, I would make that move because your offense does need a lot of help in that run game. And plus, it could build up a deadly play action game with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill already there. And would actually make the Dolphins, if they made this move, my favorite to win that division, possibly.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really believe in the Bills anymore. I'm sorry. Buffalo, you've fallen off that train. In the playoffs, Josh Allen, you've choked too many times and got your butt kicked by the Bengals. And lost in a coin toss. Sorry, Josh Allen.
All right. That's bold. What do you think, Justin?
If he does go to the Dolphins, I think they could be like the immediate contenders because now they actually have a proven running back and a strong running game to go for. Right? I believe him and Raheem Mostert could be a crazy 1-2 punch and a crazy running back tandem. Whatchamacallit? I believe that the additions that the Dolphins have made them a threat not only in the AFC East but in the AFC as a whole. And I think that makes them contenders to at least fight for the AFC title and be one of the dark horses in that. But overall, I'm not ready to give up on the Bills just yet. I think Josh Allen is still a good quarterback. I believe Stephon Diggs still has a few good years left at the wide receiver spot. I believe that team as a whole is still better because I still believe the Bills defense is better than the Dolphins. So all around, I still think it's the Bills division to lose, but it's closer than it was last year. I'll give them that.
Yeah, while we're on the topic of the Bills, I think the best spot for Dalvin Cook would be Buffalo. And it would work out for both sides. If you think about it, Buffalo is it's a cold weather city where once you get later on in the season, when the winter gets at its worst over in Buffalo, the passing game isn't going to be all that effective, which would make sense considering that Buffalo plays some of its worst football during that time of year. And once the playoffs come around, their offense becomes a lot more quiet, meaning they need a running game. They need a more balanced attack. And it's a problem that their strength is the passing game. It's unfortunate because they're a cold weather team, and when you lean on that passing game in the cold, then that is going to backfire. Doesn't matter if you're playing at home or away. So if you get Dalvin Cook here, I thought they should take a running back in the first round during the draft. If Jahmyr Gibbs or the other guy, Bijan Robinson, fell to him, but it didn't happen. So I think this is the next best thing. Go and get Dalvin Cook if he becomes a free agent.
Well, and on that point, I mean, you also mentioned cold weather climates. I mean, Minnesota, also a very cold place over there. I mean, that would
dome.
actually make a lot of sense.
It's a dome, though.
Doesn't count. It's not the same.
They used to be a cold weather team. I don't know if Dalvin Cook was still when did that dome form?
2017 is when I remember it like actually being a thing.
Yeah.
So it was his rookie year when so he just missed it. But
Yep.
the running game travels. So what I'm saying, like, it would make sense for Cook to go over to Buffalo because he's a running back. If that actually translates into, in fact, it actually helps because players are going to be more hesitant to tackle you because it hurts a lot more to try and tackle a running back in cold weather than warm. So
yeah.
it helps him in that sense. And also he's going to be able to help that team when they need the running game most, which will be in those later months in December and January, and maybe February if they make it that far. So I think that's important for them.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I just want Dalvin Cook to go to a team that actually has a chance to win the Super Bowl. Every time I saw him in Minnesota, I was like, God, he's good, but I don't trust Minnesota to go anywhere near the NFC title. I don't know why that is. Just when I want to trust them, they fail me the most, including last year when they looked good, but something told us that they were frauds, and I didn't want to believe so. But then they lost to New York, and that just proved that they were frauds. So I don't know. I want him to go to a team that actually has a chance to win the Super Bowl because I believe he's one of the best running backs in the game right now. And I think he deserves to go to a team that needs his, talents.
Yeah. And it has to be a team that's looking to win now because it just wouldn't make sense for him to go to a team that is building for the future because Cook is getting up there in age. This upcoming season is going to be his age 28 season. And I know he's still in his 20s, but unfortunately with the way the running back position works, it's the only position in any sport where you get up to where you are considered past your prime or in the middle of it when you're still in your 20s, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, there's some running backs still last. Frank Gore was able to last for quite a while. Adrian Peterson, But you can also name a lot of running backs who their best years were behind them by the time they were 25, which is insane. So it's just the way the running back position
Yeah,
works.
I think what really concerns me with Dalvin Cook is he does have a little bit of an injury history. So that's kind of what concerns me about Dalvin Cook. But if he can stay fully healthy on a contender, that team could be extremely dangerous and can make a run like the Miami Dolphins.
You're talking about
Dalvin Cook staying healthy.
Yes, but the running back is never going to be with the way the running game works in the NFL. It feels like it's that position where it's not going to help you win. They're not going to be the singular reason you win a championship, but the absence of it is going to be the reason that you don't make it, if that makes sense.
Not unless you're the Patriots with James White.
And the 2015 Broncos, because I'm not going to lie, once Brett Manning's arm went down, they had nothing offensively.
Yeah, but it wasn't the running game. It was more the defense.
Yeah, but they had nothing offense. I don't care how good your defense is. If your offense ain't giving you nothing, then it is what it is.
You could have had another running back in there at that time. Could have had you could have put Ezekiel Elliott in there and it would have been an upgrade over CJ Anderson. Anderson had a very good year.
Of course, a rookie Ezekiel Elliott is better than C.J. Anderson. That's not really. I'm not.
You see, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't need that much at the position. You don't. You really don't.
Yeah,
you
it just is considered the most replaceable.
Time out. Rookie Ezekiel Elliott is. I think you guys are underrating how good Ezekiel Elliott was as a rookie, and then his eventual downfall. But that's for another day. That's another day in time.
I think I'm not underrating it. I'm just stating that there are better players than CJ Anderson that year. It was 2015, so this is before Ezekiel Elliott's time. But I could bring in, we could mention Todd Gurley. I'm just saying, like, if you could be the best running back in the game and never win a Super Bowl, because it's a position in football that does not influence championships enough. It just doesn't. It's very replaceable. And having that high-end talent that you draft 4th overall, like Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette or Saquon Barkley, all of those guys went 4th overall, by the way. None of those guys won a championship. What does that say about the nature of that position?
I believe Ezekiel Elliott went to the Cowboys. That's what happened to him. He went to the Cowboys. That's not fair.
Did you say Leonard Fournette?
What's that?
Did you say Leonard Fournette in there?
I did. Yeah, he did win a championship. I'm forgetting about that. But he didn't win with the team that drafted him.
Also, he got close.
Okay. He got released.
He
went to a team that was more of a pass heavy offense.
Yeah.
Where their quarterback threw for 40 touchdown passes. So I stand corrected there, but
and didn't make the Pro Bowl.
The team was not centered around Leonard Fournette that year. And it was much more of it was kind of balanced, but it was more, the running game was a sideshow. It just didn't mess up. It was more Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski, and then Tom Brady leading the charge.
I'll give you, I don't think it's the lead thing, but I feel like it could be. It could be. I'm not saying it should be, but it could be for a season. I'm not saying it's going to be the consistent thing. If anything, it's an aberration, but I could see a running attack win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I'll give you this. So how about the Buffalo Bills? They don't have enough at the running game right now. Just what they have isn't working. You add Dalvin Cook to that. It's a good complementary piece. There's still going to be a pass-first team, but now they will have a running attack that is good enough so that other teams will respect it and that they don't disappear offensively during the postseason, which happens so often with them because their passing their offensive attack is such a pass-first air show. So when you have a very windy day at Buffalo or when it's snowing out, they're not going to be as effective because they're just so used to slinging it all over the field, and they won't be able to do it as effectively. Now they can just hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook or do short passes, and they will at least be able to have teams respect that run game, and it'll be more of a balanced attack. Because the Bills really need that, because that offense is so one-dimensional. It's one of their biggest weaknesses on that team. Actually, if not, it is the biggest weakness. So big that it's the reason that they are not able to win a Super Bowl, and even make it there, let alone. All right, but I wanted to change gears here, and so as we talk about one potential free agent, we're going to talk about some top free agents that are still remaining, who aren't named DeAndre Hopkins, by the way, because we have touched on him about how many times, like 3-4 times just in the past few months. Now that he is a free agent, but we've already covered it. But there are still so many defensive free agents left, and some on offense, and we'll cover those next and where they could possibly go. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright, Justin Tucker, special guest Ian Mulhearne. So we have reached the portion of our show where we are going to cover some of the top free agents remaining. And it's been a while since we've last covered the free agents on this market, because free agency started and kind of winded down before, like, weeks before the draft even started. Yet there's so many who are still available out there, and we'll give you a list of some of the top ones because there's a lot. And it would take all day if we were going to just cover every single free agent left and their possible spots. But among those are Yannick Ngakoue, Leonard Floyd, Deion Jones, Marcus Peters, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott. Just on that list is just, and that's not mentioning DeAndre Hopkins, who are not going to cover tonight. Sorry. We already covered that on our last episode. You guys want to see it, go check it out. I think it was the one before that. But any spots for some of these names out here? What are you guys thinking?
I'm gonna do one you didn't name yet, and I've had, this might sound crazy, but I feel like he could go back home. I could say Marcus Peters going back to Kansas City.
That wasn't the home I was thinking of. I was talking about home in Baltimore. I was thinking he comes back here. Just re-sign him.
I don't know. That's just.
Also, I did mention Marcus Peters, by the way.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, but I like that one. Marcus Peters to Kansas City.
It would be a good fit. They could use some help in that secondary.
They can use a lot of things. Cap room isn't one thing. They don't have any cap.
Yeah, well, the cap space, the salary cap exists, so easily manipulated. If they chose that they wanted to sign Marcus Peters, they would probably be able to do it. But also, I just think they have such a need at the wide receiver position that they need to go after DeAndre Hopkins. That's a team that really needs DeAndre Hopkins bad. But I think Marcus Peters, here's one spot that I think would work perfectly. And I hope there's not too much bad blood between division rivalries here. And that's a lot to ask for an AFC North
Don't do
rivalry
it
here. Marcus Peters to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I just think that would be such a good fit for both. And you know, you have the Cincinnati you have the Bengals here, who are, I mean, they filled every other need that they have needed, but their secondary, namely in the cornerback room, is a little bit on the lacking side. You have Chidobe Awuzie, who's solid, but you don't have another corner across from him. Your safeties are fine. You have Dax Hill and Nick Scott, but you still need that extra corner to go across, and it should not be Eli Apple. You can't do that.
AKA burnt toast.
Right. So I think Marcus Peters, and they get to milk the last ounce of good football that he has left in him. He gets some value out of him. He goes out a Super Bowl champion. And then going into next offseason, because this would probably be a 1-year deal, he would have more value, and some team would sign him for a larger deal. I think this would be good for both sides.
Don't ever say Marcus Peters to Cincinnati ever again. That should never happen. As a matter of fact, the Ravens should re-sign him just to take that possibility off the board. If we can't get DeAndre Hopkins, we're definitely getting Marcus Peters. Let's just erase that possibility off the board. I don't want to face Marcus Peters twice a year wearing Cincinnati orange and black. Just the mere thought of it makes me sick. He's a Raven.
He wasn't drafted as one. You know, he was drafted as a Kansas City Chief.
But he found a home in Baltimore.
No, he was also a Ram. And
found a home in Baltimore.
What's that?
He found a home in Baltimore. He wants to stay here. Whether we want him here or not, I want him to stay.
Well, I'm sure the living in Cincinnati isn't too bad. And also he can go out a Super Bowl champion.
That's a huge if, because they can't get over the hump either.
Yeah, but they've had much better success with it. And I honestly, this is the best shape that they've looked in years.
They look suspect against us. I don't care what you guys tell me. I believe this team will get bounced in the first round this year. I don't trust Cincinnati at all defensively.
Really?
At all. If they add Marcus Peters, I'm not going to lie to you, it'd be a great addition for them, considering they're upgrading from Eli Apple, which, by the way, they should resign. But I don't need to see it. I don't need to see him lining up against our guys twice a year, potentially 3 times a year in the playoffs. I don't need that. Let's just re-sign him and call it a day.
Can I give you another one for another player on this list?
Yeah, let's go.
Deion Jones. So an off-ball linebacker. He goes to the Patriots.
That's actually not bad.
That's a good one. I could see
You
that.
could replace Tim Hightower, Dante Hightower.
Tim Hightower. Isn't he the running back who was on the Saints like way back when?
Yes.
Man, I remember that. I had him in fantasy as a sleeper. Traded him away, but I had him for a little bit. But I like Deion Jones, and I think he's at that point where he's at that point of his career where he's trying to prove himself to still be a capable player at the NFL level. And what better a place to do that than with New England, a team that loves to say, okay, your trash is my treasure. Deion Jones is Cleveland's trash, and we are going to turn him into a jewel.
He was in Cleveland?
Yeah, he got traded from the Falcons to Cleveland.
Why do I not remember this? Maybe because the Cleveland was trash. Why do I not remember this?
So he was Atlanta's trash too.
No, he was actually good with Atlanta. Then they got rid of him.
And they traded him. So he was Atlanta's trash. And now, just like in 2016 with that 28-3 lead, I'm going to make a fool out of Atlanta yet again.
You know what? I could also see. I mean, this might be a little crazy, but I mean, pairing Deion Jones next to Roquan Smith would be something else too in Baltimore.
We already have Patrick Queen. We're not
Oh,
doing
that
it
is
again.
true. Maybe like move him to an edge or something. Could do that too.
Just I don't know. I don't know. I
right.
like what we got going on, but if we're going to make it anything a three personnel, it's usually our safety. So we're not going to put 3 off-ball linebackers out there unless we absolutely have to.
All right. So we've covered the corner and the linebacker here. Yannick Ngakoue, Leonard Floyd. Where are the better fits for these two guys? Both defensive ends, both have proven themselves to be still productive at the pro level. Where are they going?
Well, that depends on who needs a pass rusher, and I believe Kansas City needs one.
Yeah,
because they got rid of Frank Clark, so I believe they're in need of an instant pass rusher right now. So either of them would do the trick. I believe Jadeveon Clowney has been tied to the Ravens. He keeps on getting tied back to us for some reason. I'm all for it, but he keeps on. I don't know why he keeps getting tied back to us, but I wouldn't be against it because I believe he's a great run stuffer, not necessarily the best pass rusher. So overall, I think he'd be a good fit in Baltimore. But outside of that, I'm just not. I'm not like fully thinking of like the potential places where people need pass rushers. Maybe I'm just not seeing it yet. Maybe someone in in this LA with the Chargers. But outside of that, not really sure. But you can never have too many pass rushers.
I've seen Jadeveon Clowney get tied to the Carolina Panthers because they do need somewhat more of an edge. I mean, they have Brian Burns, they have Yatir Gross Matos, but one more guy wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I think Leonard Floyd. So he's 31. Actually, I think he's 30, 31. I think that would be a good spot for Kansas City because they're looking for a pass rush, and Leonard Floyd needs somewhere where he can win right now, and Kansas City needs it. I think that's a good spot. Same thing with Yannick Ngakoue. These are two players that are really looking for a home, and I think this would be a good spot. Also, and if these players are willing to stick around for a couple of years, the Chicago Bears, that's a strong possibility because they're in dire need for pass rush. They've added a few pieces, but not really enough so that they can say that their pass rush is revamped. Like it's not the bottom of the barrel worse that they have been, but they could use some pieces there.
Yeah, LA, I could see the Rams too. I mean, the Rams after some of their departures and releases, they could use an edge besides Aaron Donald.
Yep. Another team would be the Broncos. Broncos need a pass rush. They just got rid of Bradley Chubb. They're going to need that pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam?
Yeah. Just lots of noise in the background. That's all.
All right. Is there anyone else we're missing?
All right. Here's the last two that I wanted to cover. Okay. Leonard Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott.
This is tough. Zeke is probably the toughest.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't use him as necessary. I could use him on all 3 downs. I could use because he can actually pass protect. He's probably one of the better pass protect running backs in the game.
So both of these players are very capable north-south runners. Like they can just plow through guys pretty easily.
Easy there.
So
yeah.
So if you wanted to go to Buffalo, where, like I said earlier when we were talking about Dalvin Cook, it's very cold over there, and they need somebody to reignite that offense when the no pun intended, when that passing game goes cold. So they're going. So I think Leonard Fournette would be a good spot for the Buffalo Bills. And I think I would say the same thing about Kansas City. Like, we say a lot about their passing game, that they need someone for Patrick Mahomes to throw to, but they've also been very one-dimensional ever since, and they've been able to figure it out over the years, but ever since Kareem Hunt got into trouble off the field, they haven't really had that one guy who's a dynamic rusher. And I think Leonard Fournette can still do that. Ezekiel Elliott, probably not, because he's at that point in his career where he's starting to go downhill. He's still a productive rusher, but he'll probably need to be in a committee to be still as effective as he possibly can.
I mean, I remember, I think I know a fit here. Possibly it's underrated because I know Sean Payton liked to run a 2 running back offense between Kamara and Ingram.
Yeah.
Very possibly, because, it is Sean Payton. He could, besides, Jamal Williams, I think Zeke back there could also help with some leadership, some veteranness.
Jamal Williams.
Not Jamal Williams. Oh my God, I'm messing up.
Jamal Williams isn't a
Denver Bronco.
Yeah. He's on Denver Bronco.
Williams. It could be Javonte.
Javonte Williams.
Javonte. Thank you.
I thought that you thought Sean Payton was still a Saint.
I was thinking of Javonte Williams, and I think, pairing Zeke there could actually help, if they need him on like a 2nd and 5 or you're right. This guy could play all 3 downs, but he is a good, relatively, starter - backup, because if Javonte gets injured, you have Zeke to kind of back him up there.
Yeah, and also Javonte Williams is coming off an ACL tear, and it might be a year or so before he's actually at his back to where he once was. And the Broncos are kind of a team that are still looking to contend. So Leonard Fournette could be a player that they could plug in there, and he could still do the job.
That's why I was also thinking about like the Jets in particular, because they just got Aaron Rodgers, they just got weapons surrounding him, and I want to say Breece Hall is just coming back from his injury he suffered in his rookie year. I don't want to rush our future running back from injury, so I believe you should do that by committee and get in someone like Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette to fill the position, because they are healthy. They may not be the runners that they used to be, but they're still durable. They can still give me, I want to say, 3-4 yards a rush, not necessarily be the ball kick, like tote the rock 400 times a year. But again, they can hold it like 200 times, give Breece Hall the ball 200 times just to not rush him back from injury. And I think that could help the offense get where it needs to go.
So how about Michael Carter then?
I keep forgetting about him. I keep forgetting about him.
He's okay. Like, I think Michael Carter is best when he's kind of in a committee. So if you add either one of these players, and like Breece Hall is coming off an ACL tear, people are really overhyping him this season.
Yeah.
I know he was awesome to start last year, but there's only so much that he can do when he's coming off an ACL tear. And I don't know if he's like, it very rarely happens a year removed from the ACL tear. It usually takes some time. And then the year after the next year, they're back to their normal selves. Look at Saquon.
Yeah.
This past season, the year before this past one, he wasn't very good. This year, he looked like his old self again. It was probably his, statistically, arguably, his best season he's ever had. So that just tells you about the nature of the injury. It's very rare. So Leonard Fournette or Ezekiel Elliott, that could be a good spot where you could have the Jets could be a good spot where either of these players could fill in while they're waiting for Breece Hall to get healthy, and then the next season, if Aaron Rodgers is still there, they can still contend.
Also,
all right.
Seattle, low-key Seattle. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
But they
yeah, I
have
mean,
They have
Sorry,
Kenneth Walker, but I'd look at him as more of a like East Coast runner. They could have a North South runner in Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette, and then Kenneth Walker could kill them going side to side.
Yeah, they could do that. All right. Well, we're up against the clock. So we are going to move to Ian's guest segment where he is going to do some analysis for early dark horse contenders for the 2023 season. That's next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright, Justin Tucker, special guest Ian Mulhearne. We welcome you to the guest segment of our show, sponsored by Secret Weapon Consulting. For business plans, secret shoppers, bar spotting, server and manager training, and so much more, visit www.secretweaponconsulting.com. So for our guest segment, we have Ian Mulhearne, who's going to talk about some early dark horse contenders for this upcoming season. So Ian, what do you got?
I have to say this one has to be one of my favorites is the Denver Broncos because I am a huge Sean Payton fan, and he might used to be a division rival, but the one thing I'll always give this guy is he really is the king at developing quarterbacks. I mean, hell, he makes Taysom Hill look like a superstar. I mean, with that whole locker room, Russell Wilson coming off a very disappointing year last year, his receivers injured, Timothy Patrick was out, but now you got everyone pretty much coming back. And I feel like with this Denver team, they can really make a run at it. Because if I'm being honest, I think Russell Wilson was holding back last year because of Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, listen, I think Denver is automatic. They're already going to be better than they were last year. Now, how much better is going to be, we'll see. But they finished with four wins last year. You can't get worse than that when you have the targets that you have for Russell Wilson, who is a perennial Pro Bowl quarterback over in his last place in Seattle, and a pretty solid defense. Their secondary is good. Their front seven is fine. It was a lot of it was their coaching and also their offensive line. It got hurt, and it also wasn't very good. So they revamped that over the offseason. They have better depth there, and they have better coaching. So, I mean, they have to be better. I would like to say that this team will be a playoff caliber roster and that they will reach the postseason. It'll be tough, though. I think they'll at least be in contention for it, but just their division alone is going to be hard. They have Kansas City in there. They have the Chargers. I'm not that worried about the Raiders with them. They should be able to beat out Oakland. Oakland. That's a throwback. They should be able to beat out Vegas. Oakland should never have left. The Raiders should never have left Oakland.
It is what it is.
But it is what it is.
But I think there's so many teams, but I have to say this team can really contend. And you know what? They're in the AFC North, and yes, they're a very big rival of the Ravens. I hate to say it myself, the Steelers. Between the Steelers and the Browns, I mean, just those two teams alone, if the Browns get DeAndre Hopkins on one hand, they got They got wideouts, and then they could possibly contend. But the real question is, can Deshaun Watson get back to his old ways? That's the toughest question. And as for the Steelers,
Careful how you word that.
drafting Joey Porter Jr., adding to that secondary, that defense alone with TJ Watt, they're always, relatively a dark horse. And depending on how Kenny Pickett, yes, literally forms a sentence, can he pick it? Can he do well this year? Can he have a breakout year? And if he does, possibly, maybe like a mid-tier playoff team.
Yeah. The Steelers are definitely a team that could, while we're on the dark horse contenders, I guess, like the Steelers are a team that they are flying under the radar. They have they have pieces. Their defense has always been solid, and it looks like they have at least kept it to the level that they had it at last year. They improved their offensive line, which is important because their offensive line has been god awful for the past couple of seasons. And it looks like we've seen something from Kenny Pickett this past season. Now, will it translate to statistics and winning? We'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll take a couple of years. He looks like he's been a project of a quarterback, and he's been coming along. They also have pieces on that offense in the passing game. You have George Pickens. You've got Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
You got Pat Freiermuth. That's pretty good right there. And also, I didn't even get to mention Allen Robinson yet.
Oh yeah, I did forget about that movie.
Game. They've got pieces there. They just have to put it together. So
I don't hear none of that. Ravens beating them twice. Then I don't hear none of that.
They probably will. I'm saying they probably will. But the Ravens aren't a dark horse. Justin.
I know we're not. I know.
The Bengals are not a dark horse either. Those are the consensus top two in the division right now.
Yeah.
So you're probably right. But we're just talking about the Steelers as a possible contender.
Yeah.
Same thing with Cleveland. Two teams that are kind of flying under the radar right now, but do have potential to make a run if they wanted to. I mean, everyone wants to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like those ones. I like those ones, especially Cleveland.
I'd say the best one though, really. I mean, I had it down to these two, but I have to say the one that takes it for me. I was gonna say the Jaguars, but they, did well last year, so I'm gonna say the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle has that potential to be good. With the think about it, though, you have the 49ers quarterback situation. You got the LA Rams. You don't know how Stafford's going to do. I mean, that division is so wide open. And Seattle last year, a team that I thought was going to be a bottom 5 team, made it into the wild card. So this team has been flying under the radar too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they made additions through the draft with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Devin Witherspoon. Yep. They actually might be good. They actually might be better because they made the playoffs last year, and they made additions like those.
And they will this year, and they're going to be better. And they'll probably be up there with the rest of the teams in the NFC because the NFC isn't that strong of a conference. But for them to be contending, like to win a championship, the only question I have for them is on under center, the quarterback position. I'm sorry. I just don't believe in Geno Smith. Very happy for him.
What?
I'm very happy for him and the success that he had in that one season. But one season does not an elite quarterback make.
But Adam, he didn't write back. Come on now.
I ain't writing back either. Listen,
You
if
really did.
I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but and he'll probably be good again, but not good enough to win them a championship. He's just not that caliber of a quarterback. So
I
Are
mean,
you saying he's
we'll see
not
what
that
happens.
guy? Are you saying he's not that guy?
I am saying that.
I mean, compared to a guy who, this guy I still have questions about, Brock Purdy, who did well for like 8 or 9 games. That division is just wide open. I think I could argue that he probably is the best quarterback in that division.
Certainly. All right. So before we end the show tonight, we have an announcement for our show. So we've been lacking in our content. No two ways about it. We've still been publishing episodes. We apologize. It's just been a very busy schedule. But for this summer, it is going to be different. And we are proud to announce that we are bringing back for the 3rd annual player rankings and the 2nd annual division previews. So the Friday episodes are going to go away. It's going to be once a week, Tuesdays. So we have 4 June episodes, 4 July episodes, and 2 August ones. And we are going to be ranking all of the every skill position in the top 5, just like we did last year, and previewing every division, just like we did last season, as well as team rankings and NFL honors predictions. So it's going to read in June, from June on. So safety and AFC East first, linebacker, AFC North, cornerback, AFC South, defensive end, AFC West, tight end, NFC East, running back, NFC North, wide receiver, NFC South, quarterback, NFC West, team rankings, and then NFL honors predictions, stretching all the way to August 8th. So we are going to take you all the way up to the start of preseason, and we'll give you our coverage then. So we are going to take you through the NFL's great dead spot, or just the biggest dead spot in all of sports, because let's face it, you do get sports, you do get the MLB, but who cares about the dog days of August at that point? And also July as well. So this is going to be a fun off season. We're going to take you every step of the way through the summer, but that is going to be starting this Tuesday, June 6th. So without further ado, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. We have new episodes out on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Over and out.